everyone, and welcome to Sphere of Being, the podcast that looks at heart-centered leadership and how we show up in our businesses and how it can thrive, not just from a dog-eat-dog and a me-only environment, but something that's actually looking at collaboration and inner strength and wisdom so that we can come and with a heart-centered approach, be inclusive and really be here for everybody's gain, lift everybody up, including ourselves. And today I have the most amazing power couple, I have to say, Jen and Steve Eriksen. And I'm just going to read a little bit about what they've said because these two people are making a huge amount of difference around the world for their community, and they're giving so much value. And I know that there's very many companies and people who have benefited from being a part of their extraordinary community that they've built, perhaps as more mature business people, and that's absolutely fine because the wisdom and the experience that we bring when we're that little bit older can actually make all the difference. And let's face it, we've got so much energy and something to give that wasn't it great that we can get, no matter what age we are, that we can make that positive difference. So Steve and Jen Eriksen are the founders of EventRaptor, where they help coaches and service providers transform their businesses through powerful virtual summits that generate consistent leads and clients without the technical overwhelm. Having run their first successful virtual summit just 8 weeks into starting their business, generating $10,000 in revenue, they know firsthand how virtual events can rapidly accelerate business growth when done right. Through EventRaptor's integrated platform and done-for-you services, they have helped clients run over hundreds of virtual summits, enabling them to build their authority, grow their email lists, and create sustainable client acquisition systems that work while they sleep. Oh, I like that. A bit of downtime and it's still bringing income, still working away behind the scenes. It sounds absolutely brilliant. And what I'd love to ask you is EventRaptor. I love the name. So tell me a little bit about what EventRaptor, how did that name come about?
So when we started a company, and actually like at the very, very beginning, we were trying to figure out the name, and we wanted event in it because event is really the core of like where we started, what we're doing. And we were struggling to come up with a good name because there are so many names out there that are already taken. But we really discovered or discussed it and thought, it was the Jurassic World video films and things like that were coming out. But really, it's about raptors, hunting in packs. They're doing it together. They're collaborating, and they're very, very fast. So it really came from that and saying, okay, doing it together, being very fast. We have built a system that makes event management very easy and putting on virtual events very, very fast. So yeah, let's go for it. And we haven't regretted it for a second. We think it's a great name.
Although why?
And also raptors are agile as well, so I mean that's nimble as well, and apparently a raptor in the US is a really cool car. So there we go. We didn't know that at the time, but and there's a Canadian football team called Raptors as well. So basically we're working on the basis of being fast and agile, and we couldn't find anything else that really worked. So that's what we settled on.
Oh, I absolutely love it. And it does. It's one that really sticks in your mind. And having been on one of your wonderful networking style events and that you give so much value in talking about the things that I know I think it was a CRM system that you were going through and how it all helped you to build funnels and things. I did notice that actually you don't just do things rapidly and raptor-like. You do things with exceedingly good value for your community. And I'd like you to go into a little bit of detail about this wonderful community that you've built and the value that you add to it.
Absolutely. We're both looking at each other. It's funny, I don't know whether this is going to be visual or not, but we kind of look to each other as to which one is going to answer, because we can both address it. But essentially, if I'll start, when we first started EventRaptor, the idea that Steve had was to create a system for people to autonomously use it and go off and do their thing. And we wanted very much to build a community, but we hadn't any idea really how that would happen, and how it's extraordinarily exploded, if you like, because in the 4 years since we've started, we have grown a global community of people. And that's a real privilege that we had no idea at the beginning, that just by us wanting to create something to make life simpler for people, that we would bring people into an ecosystem, and we treasure everybody. I have to say, Steve, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
The emotional front.
Yeah. I mean, the community that we are trying to build and working with are people who are they're there in the beginning of their journey, or they're growing in their journey, but they want to get out there, they want to speak, they want to get more business. And normally, when you are looking at communities, they are very focused on like one specific thing within the community that they do, and the communities are really built to like generate sales for people, or you have to pay a lot of money to get into the community. And what I think we have done successfully is build a community where everybody's welcome, and if you want to participate without buying anything from us, that's absolutely fine. In fact, half of our community, or 3/4 of our community, don't really have that much to buy from us. Yes, we have a CRM system, we can help you build out like your back-end systems. But what we are really aiming for are the people who are the hosts for summits and webinars and want to run their own virtual events. But here's the challenge. Those people need speakers for their stages. So we're combining that and saying we're building a community for speakers and for hosts. So the speakers can come and find places to speak, and the hosts can find people for their platform. And when you bring those two aspects together in one community, I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, and I think also that, as you quite rightly said, that there's lots in our community that is free, and you're very welcome to be in our community, and we love you to come along and use our free resources. That's great, right through to working with people, bespoke people that want something very special and very defined, and everybody is welcome. And it's quite interesting that by doing that, and there us not coercing people into wanting to buy things, as time has progressed, those people that have come and used our free resources have actually become clients of ours, because they've seen the consistency of how we are, that there is no salesiness. It's just our genuine warmth and wanting to welcome people, and for other people to discover that there literally is a whole world out there where you can share what it is you do and share your skills and talk about what you do. And if we play a small part in doing that, then that's fabulous.
I love the fact that you're building community, and community is, for me, it was a game changer. And I'm an introvert by nature. Some people would say, oh, really? So why do you do a podcast? Well, I can't say it was easy to start with, but I got this calling after a nervous breakthrough to spread my message and help others to do the same through my platform and my community. And how important would you say, let's say, for instance, I'll give you my scenario. I'm single. I live on my own. I work from home. I have my little dog, who is just adorable. But I don't see many people during the day. And as an introvert, my natural environment isn't to be amongst whole groups of people. So I can sit here a week at a time, actually not speaking to anybody kind of face to face. How important is community to people who run their small businesses to be able to have that safe space, to be able to come together and to share and to grow?
So first of all, I would also say I'm an extreme introvert. When I was doing my first summit, it took me until the third day before I started to remember to introduce who I was. So I would go like, thank you very much, speaker. And here's the next speaker. I would turn off the camera after the introduction. Like, oh, that's 45 minutes until I have to be on camera again. Big sweat patches under my arms and everything. So, I put myself in the situation of just being out there and doing it and getting used to it over time. What you're saying about the community being a safe space, that is really, really important. And one of the things that we hear on a regular basis from our community is that people love being part of it because we're providing that safe space. They feel welcomed. Doesn't matter whether you have a disability or you have a speech impediment or you are completely an introvert and can't express yourself or whatever. We give people the time, we give them the space. We encourage them, we lift them up in everything that we're doing. And there are a lot of people in the community who go and say, everybody here in the community itself, it's not just that Jennie and I are doing a good job and are wonderful, but the people in the community are wonderful people, because that's what we attract, by acting in a certain way, by being the leaders of the community and how we behave and how we treat people. It also invites people who like that way of people being treated and being treated themselves. So they find that safe space there, they meet other people. And one of the things we do in our networking meeting that we run twice a month is invite people after they go into the breakthrough rooms, as we call them. We don't call them breakout, we call them breakthrough rooms. They do networking. And when they come back, we're saying, hey, tell us about the people in your room. Tell us about what you experienced. And everybody who comes on stage saying, it was amazing people in my room. I met this person, that person, and it was so fascinating to listen to them. And bearing in mind that we have about 70, 90, 100 people in the networking event twice a month. There's a lot of people there. They're getting mixed up. They're doing these rooms 3 times during one single event. And we consistently hear about how fantastic the community itself is.
Yeah, and it would be lovely. We do get people saying to Steve, thank you so much for putting me with great people. Well, it's actually the Zoom gods seem to do their thing. But the nice thing is that we often see breakthrough rooms of people that are completely from different parts of the world. They do different things, but then they come back and they've just had the most amazing time, and then they're going to continue the conversation. And I think that's the lovely thing, is that bringing people together that perhaps ordinarily wouldn't necessarily meet one another. I think that's great. But I think also at our networking meeting, we have something called after hours, and we say to people, you're very welcome if you wanted to ask us anything about our services, of course, or tell us, you just wrote a book, you were just on somebody's podcast, you just did a thing. And it's such a privilege because so many people stay, and to say that they feel a sense of belonging, or to say that, I was just on my first podcast and I probably only gave 1-word answers, but I did it. And Steve and I, if you could pay your bills on the feeling that we get from the people that tell us those things, we would be multi-millionaires. And again, to think that we've brought somebody together, or maybe we've helped somebody feel that sense of belonging, and knowing that, when people think about speakers, they think about somebody being like Tony Robbins, the consummate word perfect person. And it's lovely to be perfectly in person, because it's what, it's that human element. It's what connects us. And so we're trying to demonstrate to people, and I think, we're doing it well, that you can come from all different walks of life. Your story and what you share is important. And there is something out there for everyone. That's important.
I think it was, what did you say? Imperfectly perfect.
Perfectly perfect.
Perfectly imperfect.
Perfectly imperfect.
Perfectly imperfect. You see, there you go. This is live, everybody. I get it wrong more times than I get it right, but I'll get there in the end. It's that authenticity, isn't it? And I'd love for you to talk about how you assist people to bring about the innerness of you. What I get from you both is this sense of real warmth and genuine interest in people. That isn't this, of course, we all need to pay the bills, so there's a commercial element to everything, which is fine. But over and above that, I feel that you are very much centered in the actual people and making them count. How does that help bring out themselves and their authenticity?
So I think that's a really good question. And what I think is that you are a sum of the people around you. So when we bring that authenticity and we talk about it, and we talk about it at our events, the way we behave when our networking meetings, first of all, it attracts the similar kind of people who want authenticity. And that's a key thing. Do you want authenticity or not? So when you want authenticity, you see how we're doing it, you see what we're teaching, you're going through everything we say, then you pick up on that and you become a more authentic person, or you increase your authenticity from what you already have. Now, one of the reasons I started coaching was I was working with a life coach certification company for 6 years. And I saw that people were struggling, even though the company I was working with give tremendous resources to the coaches that they certify. There's hours upon hours of teaching and how to run the business and everything. They were struggling actually putting it into place. And one of the things I did was to say, right, you as coaches, you're struggling with doing it. And let's help you. What I call the client attraction, but it's not like the law of attraction where you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get a client and a client will end up in your lap. It's like, how do you actually attract people into your ecosystem? What words are you using? How do you present yourself? What is your offer? Does the offer solve what the person actually wants to have? And for me, authenticity is such a big part of that. You have to be real, because if you're not, people will notice, excuse me, people will notice, and over time they will leave you, and over time your reputation builds in the wrong way. So, and the only way you'll survive then is if you really are a hardcore salespeople, person who can keep growing even when everybody else is starting to talk negatively about you. So for me, it's like the only option of being successful is being authentic. And one of the things that I teach this, and we live into this, when you do copywriting, it's all about persuasion. Absolutely, it's all about persuasion. And one of the copywriting techniques is using scarcity. Hey, we only have 10 places left, or book soon because we're going to run out of space. And I'm going like, no, I've got 300 people can come into my Zoom room. I'm not going to run out of space. I'm not going to say book now because places are limited in my Zoom room, because I know we're getting like 50 to 100 to 200 people showing up. I don't have 300, I'm not hitting that limit yet. And one day I will. And then I'll upgrade to the 1,000 person package with Zoom. It's as simple as that. But we do use real urgency. Like, hey, you've got 3 days left to do this because the offer we're giving you cuts off at midnight. And then we stand by that. We are authentic. You know it with us. If I say, here's what we're doing, you'll know that that is what we're doing. And if you come after that, you're going to pay more. Yeah. And that, to me, that drives that know, like, and trust, which is so important in the business. They know they can trust what we say. We're authentic in how we're saying it and communicating all the way. And that just drives sales. And then we are trying to do the same for our clients. We build that into everything we do for them as well.
Yeah, and I think also we can't be something that we're not. We've had people say, oh, you could do this or you could do that. Well, yes, but that incongruency wouldn't work. You would see it in the way that we're speaking and the way that we're acting. I'm not going to try and coerce somebody into buying something just because I don't know, because it earns more money for the company. We've met so many people in our time with EventRaptor that have spent tens of thousands of dollars on programs that were never ever going to work for them. They've done the 3-day thing, they've whooped it up, and their product, if you like, is still in its digital wrapping paper, and they have no idea because they haven't done the foundational stuff. We're hand holders. We're people that like to help people right from the outset to get off the starting blocks and to go. And so we're not going to try and sell somebody something that would never work for them. That's just not how we roll. And it's quite interesting, actually, because when we've had people meet us in person, they said, oh, you're very, very normal, just like you. And because we can't be any other way. There isn't sales Steve and Jen. There's just Steve and Jen. That's just how we are. I mean, we're perhaps a bit more playful when we're out and about in the supermarket and that kind of thing. But it's essentially, as you see us as we are. There is no persona. There is no on and off. It's just us as we are.
Well, that's so refreshing, because I've got some personal experience of somebody who is, let's say, into the media. Won't go any further than that. And they put on different personas for different things that they do. And depending upon which persona you've got, they're either delightful and wonderful, or they're really not a very nice person. And, it's in front of the camera and everything when they're absolutely on fire. And then afterwards, it's like, oh, that was that was a bit shocking because, oh, what a disappointment. You're not like that, really. And when you do have people who are leading from a visible front, because I believe that we're all leaders in our way, but when you're heading a community in that sense, and I know you're very egalitarian within your community, but even still, it's still Jen and Steve, and that's fantastic. And EventRaptor, I think that how you show up on your off time or catch that off guard moment where somebody rings you out of the blue and all of a sudden, you're in a home space, but you still are Jen and Steve, that they knew from all of the community stuff that you do. I think that's so important because, like it or not, when we put ourselves in situations where we are being looked upon as leaders, people have a certain level of like, oh, I got to speak to Jen and Steve. Oh, that's pretty cool. And if you've not handled that correctly, or you've been offhanded, it can have a lasting effect on somebody because it's like, oh, I didn't think you'd react like that. So, it's a bit of pressure as well for us all when I know that sometimes it's like things are going a little bit awry and maybe some, I'm a bit late or what have you, and then somebody could think, like that. But it's always, no, get back into my heart space and actually treat that person because they've made the effort to give me a call. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I would actually add something here that for me, it's much easier not to have two personas or three personas or whatever. I am what I am. When you have a meeting with me, or if you come into strategy meeting with me, we're going to have a conversation on how we can help you. I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on you to buy our services. I'm going to tell you what we have. I'm going to show you the benefits of what we have. And I'm going to ask you, are you interested? And if you say no, I'm going, that's fine. Whereas I know other people put a lot of pressure to get people into the program. But I can't be that because that's not the kind of person I am. So what you see me on the sofa in our living room and the person I'm on camera when I'm leading the Speaker Connections networking group, when I'm at doing a sales webinar, it's the same person, getting the same person all the way through because I can't put on those different personas.
Absolutely. And, we're people of a certain age. We've been around the block, the business block, if you like, for, a few years. We've seen the people that do exactly as you said, Deborah, that they are the one thing, and then you see them in the downtime. And then you see maybe at an event how they might treat somebody that is perhaps, I don't know, serving drinks or whatever. It's very, very telling. So who would want to be that? We couldn't keep that up. It's just not us. So, yeah.
yeah. And again, that authenticity, and it's that building that know, like, and trust, isn't it? So that people know that there's always the same regard all the time. That consistency, I think, is what I'm trying to say, is really, really important. I'd love to know about your wonderful summits that you do because 10,000 in your first summit. Now that's some accolade. So please do take me through and take our listeners through. What are your summits all about? Well, in fact, actually, what is a summit? Let's start from the very basics. What is a summit?
So the virtual summits that we do and for ourselves that we help our clients do is one specific model. There are many different ways of doing that, but our model is you get a group of speakers who are talking about a particular topic or particular theme, and they come into Zoom normally. You can do it pre-recorded, but we prefer to do it live in Zoom. And they spend 30, 40 minutes talking about their specialty within that topic. And when you design a summit, you think about who's the audience. You also think about, you actually start with the end in mind. You think about what do I want to achieve at the end? What do I want to sell? What do I want to happen as a result of the summit? And then you think about who's the audience who are going to be taking that action. And you're also thinking about what kind of thing would they be interested in hearing about that will help you get them to take that action. So you design the summit in that particular way. When the speakers come on stage and they talk about it, they then deliver information that is very useful for the audience. We always say you need to give them a golden nugget. The golden nugget they can implement in their business right away or in their life right away. Something they can walk away from that talk and go like, that was amazing. But here's the key to a virtual summit. It's free for attendees, So we don't have a marketing budget. We can't spend ads or pay for ads to bring people in. So the speakers are actually promoting to their own lists. They're the ones who are getting the audience in. So we can end up with hundreds of people who registered for the summit who would come and listen to the speakers. You might ask, why should the speakers be promoting to come and talk to your audience? Well, actually, what they're doing is, first of all, they can speak to their own audience as well, because they're inviting their own audience, but they get the ability to be in front of maybe 20, maybe 50, maybe 80 other people who are their perfect target audience, and communicate with them. And the only payment we want for you to have that opportunity to talk to that audience is to bring in your own audience to the event. So for the host, this is an amazing opportunity to grow the list, grow their authority, their influence, the know, like, and trust. And when you're doing it in the right way, with the right combination, we did the Own Your Stage Summit back in 2022. We have 3 different summits that we run from time to time: the Solopreneur Accelerator Summit, the Lead Generation Summit, and the Lead Generation and Conversion Summit, and Own Your Stage. And Own Your Stage is about getting onto other people's stages and talk, and owning your own stage, owning your own platform, like Facebook Live, your own summit series kind of thing. And when we did the summit, we did within a 2-week period, we did $25,000 worth of sales. And over a 2-year period from that one summit, tracking back who bought and how they came into our system, finding out they came from that summit, they were brought in by another speaker. We did over a 2-year period, we did $50,000 in sales to that audience. And you do that just by following up, being consistent, offering more products, offering more services, and just keep going and doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, for sure. And also what we've tried to show, I mean, we do teach people how to run summits and webinars and such, but, we very much have stuck to our principles of having, advising people to have a particular topic and have people that talk around that particular topic. So when we put a call out for speakers for a summit, we get amazing people apply to speak, and they're incredible. But, it's not just about having an incredible speaker speaking at an event. It's having a great speaker speaking at an event that's in their wheelhouse of expertise. So just bringing somebody in who says, "Oh, I can bring in my audience," or whatever. If there's that incongruency, if they are not speaking around a particular topic, it's discombobulating. In a digital world where we're so privileged and yet our attention span is so short, you never want to give people a reason to go, "Oh, this doesn't work. I'm off." So there has to be that, throughout the period, there has to be that consistency of different topics or different subjects surrounding that particular topic. And in fact, we're just off having our Own Your Stage for the 6th time. Last week we had it, and we had 16 incredible speakers, all speaking around different aspects about owning your stage, being ready for stage, telling your story, your body language, your working out your topic. And in a funny way, although they came from different parts of the world and they were talking about different things, throughout the time you can see the thread appearing, and you can see somebody perhaps touch on something on day 1 that somebody on day 3 touches on, and it validates, if you like. And that's what's important, is actually having that consistency, running summits that have a theme. And then it's a bit like when we buy our favorite, product in the grocery store. We know what we're going to get. So with one of our summits, people know what they're going to get. It's not going to be random. We're not going to say, spend 3 days with us with 3 awesome, 3 days of awesome power-packed business women. We're going to, say this is what the topic is surrounding. The specificity is everything.
And just adding one more thing, we talked about the authenticity, and you will see that come across when we're doing our summits as well. We make mistakes, we mess up. And on one of the introductions, Jen said, "Oh, well, actually, I'm just going to start again," and just took it from the top, because then the recording would be better. And she explained to the room, because I'm starting again, so the recording can be good. And when I mess up with pressing the wrong buttons or whatever, one of the things I do sometimes is somebody speaking and I accidentally mute them and remove the spotlight from them, going, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Let me bring you back on again," kind of thing. And because we're treating it as human beings having a human experience, we're not trying to put on this fake professionalism. We are professional in what we're doing, but it's not fake as in we're pretending to be something we're not. We are just what we are. Then I think that comes across, and people love it when we make mistakes and the way we're treating that and fix them and keep going.
And also, just to expand on that, yes, I did actually mess up somebody's introduction last week. Thank you for reminding everybody, Steve. But you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to start it again because they were an amazing person, and I wanted to do that introduction justice. You know, I wanted to tell people, whether they were joining us in real time or in the recording, I wanted them to hear every delicious word of that person and their expertise and things that they had been doing and their talk titles. So for me, I could have blethered away and go, oh, well, you know, sorry, I made a mistake. But no, I thought I was quite near the top of the intro anyway. And I thought, no, I want to go back to the beginning, because this person, they've taken the time to show up. They've taken the time to put together a presentation. They've thought about our audience. They're here to help people expand their knowledge. They deserve a proper introduction and not me fluffing it up.
And do you know what, which I think is great between the two of you as well, is not only do you come across as the most brilliant team, a husband and wife that's been married for many years, and you've got this beautiful balance of having taken your turn, etc. And know that you completely respect and love one another, which is just beautiful. It's that family feel that you bring to this. I just get this sense of feeling that you're part of a family when you're in your community. And the other thing is, it's that you're owning your mistakes. And I think that that's really good for people to look to say, you know what, I could do this. It's not so far beyond the realms of possibility in my skill set that if I put a bit of effort in and I practice, I could be like Jen and Steve. Because if it's too slick, and I'm got all the regard for Tony Robbins and what have you, and he's got a big production team, etc. So he's saying that, but I think, I don't think I'd ever be as good as that. So sometimes people think I can't do that, so I won't even start. But I think you're very good at giving people the fact that we're only human. We've only learned by trial and error. And actually, because we're not saying you have to be perfect, just like you said, the perfectly imperfect. I hope I've got it right this time, Jen. Yeah, I think that normal people, and you've put yourself as normal people, and I know that we're all miracles, so we're not really normal, but normal people can actually go, I could do that. And that's such a wonderful thing, because you know what, they might just take the first step and then the next step. And with you holding their hand metaphorically or even physically, they're in safe hands, I feel. I don't know if you want to expand on that, or if you think, I've got over emotional, but I do feel this.
I love what you say. It's very interesting, because over the time that we've been running our summits, and we've had some people that, you know, when I read their introductions, I mean, you can hear what they've been doing and their success, and then they'll start to talk, and you know, people think, oh my goodness, you know, there is this amazing speaker, and they'll tell about their history, the fact that, you know, they had 3 children under the age of 5 when they were widowed at 24. And they got themselves together, and over time, and you know, tried and failed, and they've managed to make a success out of their business. Or somebody that has had, well, people have come from all different places and had all different challenges, but how they have got through it. You know, one of the things I talk about is I'm very good on, and I like analogies, and I love the book We're Going on a Bear Hunt, the children's book, because when you think about it, the whole story is, well, we can't go over it, we can't go over it, we can't go around it, we have to go through it. And so many speakers talk about how they got to where they are by going through situations, by dealing with perhaps tragedy, adversity, you know, dealing with all kinds of challenges. And I think that that's so inspirational. And I look at people in the Zoom window, you know, people say, oh, you know, it's not the same being part of a virtual event. It really, really is, because it's like being in an intimate setting with people. And I watch people as they're sort of sitting back, and as somebody's telling their story, I watch them lean forward and often see people, you know, with their chin on their hands. And I think that's the magic, and that's the inspiration. They're all only at perhaps the beginning of their stories, but it's already somebody's in the audience. Their mindset has changed because they thought, oh, I'll never be like this. But oh, wait a minute, look where they started. Look what they had to deal with. And that's just incredible. And the power of a virtual event means that we can bring people together worldwide. And we think that we struggle with perhaps in the UK or the US or whatever. Lo and behold, somebody who's speaking from South Africa or wherever, they've had a similar challenge, when we think it's just us in our own little world. And I think that's the amazing thing, is the human aspect of people's stories. And then we're on that journey with them to be inspired. And then, oh my goodness, the 45 minutes is up. If we have 45 minutes for a speaker, I'm looking at the clock that's next to me thinking, oh my gosh, everybody's leaning in, listening, and this time is coming to an end. And we're all so immersed in the journey. And I think that's incredible.
Indeed, I have that with the podcasts. I look and I think, well, no, really? Is that the time? Because it just goes so quickly. And it's one of those things that when you're engaged with, and with, like yourselves, very value-driven and very eloquent people, very good at communicating, you get drawn in, and it's like, whoa, the time can just be like flying away. And I give you every accolade for actually keeping an event which is so intricate and so dependent upon its timing that you can actually do the summit and actually, get it all, especially if it's a 3-day one. That's intensive. I'd love to actually talk about this as well, is if somebody is running a summit, can they do it on their own? Do they need help? What does that actually look like for somebody that's thinking, sounds really interesting, but it's just me. I don't know if I could do it.
Well, that's a really good question. And the truth is you need tools, and you can benefit from people. The whole idea of our platform, the EventRaptor platform, is to enable you to do it on your own. You literally can do the whole summit on your own. One of the early people we had doing an event in our platform, actually, it's a testimonial, I think it's on our homepage, that I used to do these events. I used to pay $3,500 out to VAs to do this for me. And now with the EventRaptor platform, she was doing it on her own. And there are a number of people, like the majority of the people on our platform, do their own virtual events. Where we're saying you can benefit from help, there's a lot of minutiae that you have to remember. Somebody applies, are they the right fit for the summit? Have they got the right information? Is it formatted correctly? Have they put the gift in? Do you need to update them and saying, hey, send the correct links? Have you checked the links? You can have a VA who's helping you with that. We can do that for you as well. Where we actually coming in is more about what is the strategy, what's the outcome, what you want to achieve, what you want to sell because of the summit. Creating the kind of strategies that gives you $5, $10, $20, $50,000 in revenue over time. Where you probably need the most help, and the most helpful for you to have help, is if you're doing it on your own in Zoom. The speakers are coming in there. You might have 30, 40, 50 people in Zoom as well. And we like presentations, by the way. That's partly because I'm not a good interviewer. I can either listen to what the speaker says, or I can think about the question. I can't do both at the same time. So for me, it's like, thank you very much. What I'm going to ask next? Okay, yes, here's a good question. And then ask. And in that time in between, the speaker continues. So it'll never be an interview. They'll just keep speaking anyway. But, the people are asking things in the chat. They're commenting in the chat. They will be asking for the links in the chat. You are trying to focus on the speaker. You're trying to focus on the event. And what we say is, if you have somebody who helps you in the room, they manage the chat. They collect the questions. If anybody has a question from the speaker, when the speaker is finished, they will feed you the questions so you can go, speaker, so we had this question in the chat. Because sometimes the speaker says, like, put the one in the chat there. You have 50 ones and the questions disappear. And you don't want to sit there and try to scroll. So if you have an assistant, they put all of the links in, they monitor that chat, they get the questions, they feed you. So you can just sit and focus on the audience in the room and the speaker and what they say. And you don't need to think about all of the other things. But then again, you have tools. We have a clock, a countdown clock that says, here is how much is left of this particular session. And what comes after it is a 5-minute break. And after the 5-minute break, here's the next speaker. So we have that running on an iPad. So we can just take a glance and saying, okay, so speaker, you have 3 minutes left. What kind of gift are you sharing with the room? And then when the session is done, you go like, okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break, go and get a coffee, go and do a bio break. you never break, really. You keep talking through that 5 minutes. You share golden nuggets. You have a conversation. It's great for Jen and I because we feed off each other. We talk about the fact that we have a networking meeting, etc. And then you have, but you're also able to say easily, because of that glance on the screen, who the next speaker is. And we have what we call a run-off show, which is all of the speakers listed one by one in the chronological order, so you can always know who's coming next. Single page, so you just scroll down as you're doing your event. So with the right tools, you can do it on your own. It's very beneficial, especially in the planning stage, to have help as well.
Yeah, for sure. And we message each other. So, for example, I'm looking at you on my screen here. I have a screen over there, and Steve and I throughout an event are messaging each other. And one of the important things is, as mentioned, we're listening to a speaker and you're thinking, oh gosh, we're coming up to the end of that speaker, and we could let them go on for another half an hour, but that would have an impact on the whole event. So it's important to make sure everybody has that same amount of time, because often you'll get people that will come and go in an event. They'll buy a VIP upgrade so they have all of the recordings, but maybe they're listening and they've perhaps got to pick up the children from school, or they've got to run to a meeting, and so back and forth. And if you come along to support your particular person, somebody that your speaker, if somebody else is still talking, it's kind of like, well, where's the person I've come to support? I've only got that particular amount of time. So we want to be obviously respectful of time as well, which is why also we build in the buffers, so that if we do go a minute or so over, it's encroaching, if you like, on Steve and Jen time, where we're just telling people to have a bio break, or we've got a networking meeting or whatever. So it's not going to impact the start time of the next speaker, which is super important. And even things like we message each other, like, for example, Deborah is speaking right now and Julie is our next speaker, and I'll have a little look and, oh, Julie's arrived. So I'll send Steve a message, Julie's in the building. So we know the next speaker is here. There are sometimes things that go wrong. We had a particular speaker who we were expecting to come along. She had literally crashed her car. She was on a snowy road with her husband, and they were in a car crash. And bless her heart, Aunt Andrea, what she did, she grabbed her laptop and legged it to McDonald's. She sat in a corner of McDonald's and did her presentation. Now, we were kind of, we factor things in. We've always got something up our sleeves to talk to people about. This lady literally left her car, went to McDonald's, parked herself, and did her presentation, which was just incredible.
Well, the show must go on. What
I mean, absolutely.
Oh, but my word.
There could be a situation where somebody goes, oh my gosh, my electricity is not working, or my internet provider has
gone down or something. Yes,
I'm in a different time zone, and I thought it was an hour later, or whatever it may be. I mean, but then that's the nice thing as well, because it also shows how, coming back to the perfectly imperfect, we had a speaker a couple of summits ago who had all her slides lined up, all beautiful slides, and she couldn't get them to work. The screen sharing was available. She couldn't get them to work. So she just went, oh, well, I'll just talk to you. And talk to her she did for 45 minutes, and it was brilliant. Did she need the slides? They might have emphasized a point, or it might have shown a graphic of a chart or something. But the fact of the matter is, she just rolled her sleeves up and got on with it. And it was what came out of her mouth and her being there that counted, rather than the fancy slides and all that kind of thing. So things happen, and you have to be prepared for them.
Well, I mean, honestly, well done to all of these wonderful speakers who have gone through, and this just shows you, doesn't it? You can prepare so much, and then you're down to the fate of whatever that sometimes. And even if you then can crawl through from the challenge and adversity into the result, that's really good resilience, and sometimes it does take a few of those knocks where something hasn't gone quite right, and you're still there and you're still doing what you do from your authentic truth and your power and your authenticity. And I think that sometimes the audience can get behind you so much more, because they know, wow, you did that despite of all that's just happened. So yeah, and well done for you, because ultimately that's a very flustering moment, isn't it? It's like, are they going to come? Are they not going to come? What are we going to do, etc. So to keep your cool and your head, and as leaders within that realm, it just shows you how professional and resilient you are.
For sure. And had she actually said to us, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I've crashed the car, we would have been, don't worry, go and sort out the car. Because at the end, she sent a message saying, well, I better go and see how my husband and the car is now. And probably she was like, oh my goodness, afterwards. But the adrenaline kept her going. So it would have been perfectly understandable if she said, I've just crashed my car. This has happened. But good on her. And as I say, these things do happen, and it's how you deal with it. And these are the things that we hope people will learn when you see people presenting and things happen. It then shows you that it's okay. Slides will fail, or something might go wrong, or whatever. And the important thing is to keep going, because if what you have to say is in front of the right audience, and you're cohesive in what you say, then that's, at the end of the day, that's what matters more than anything.
I mean, and talking about time, I can't believe how quickly it's gone, because we're just about to the top of the hour. But what I want to do is, we've talked about summits, we've talked about you organizing your own summit. Forgive me if I go off piste a bit here, but do you also help people to speak as well, to have
So
their own stage to speak on, as it were?
right. So what we do, we help people to create their own stage, I to help them create the summit. We do tell people they should have a podcast, and we have people who are podcast experts who can help them with that. We very much believe in staying in our own lane. We're not going to go out and promote and sell something that we're not great at delivering, to be honest. So when it comes to, if you want to be a better speaker, well, we have you on your stage where we bring in experts. And we work with experts who will be able to teach you how to speak better from stage and deliver your story and everything. What we specialize in is helping you two things. First of all, create a virtual summit as your platform. So you have a series of them, the same summit, run it over and over again on your stage. We run 6 times now. We're probably going to run it again in the fall and autumn, and that'll be 7th time. So we basically help you set it up, decide the strategy and all of that, and we build a back end system so you can monetize it. The follow-up sequences, the nurturing of the people who come into your list, the offers that you're going to make, the sales page and the upsell page, and the calendar appointments, and how are you going to sell them when you're in that meeting with them if you have a high ticket offer. That's what our expertise is. For the other things, we have experts we can refer to.
And that really ties in very nicely with what you were saying earlier about community, because over this time we've created a community. We know people, we know what people do, and we get to see them, and we like to think that we're a trusted resource, that if somebody asks us to do something and we say it's not us, we'd like to say it's not us, and this is somebody that I'm going to connect you with, rather than shrug our shoulders and go, oh, I don't know, we don't know anybody who does that. I need help with my slides. Okay, this is somebody that can help you. We need, what somebody wants to be on the TEDx stage. Jen and Steve, can you help with that? No, we can't, but we know the people who can. So we've got, over this time, we've built our own, if you like, virtual Rolodex of our trusted resources, people that we know will have a good experience if we connect them on LinkedIn or whatever to continue the conversation. They might not be a great fit after that, who knows, but we think we've done our best in understanding what somebody does, understanding what somebody needs, and hopefully sending them off for a good conversation.
Wonderful. I just love what you're doing. The two of you just bringing so much value and opportunity for people. And as you say, the numbers don't lie, and you're doing an incredible job. And if anybody's thinking, oh, this might cost me a bit, but always think of your return on investment, because that's where the beauty of all of this lies. And investment might not be money, it might be time, it might be that you want to practice, it might be that you want to have extra discussions with the people in the community, etc. So it's not always about money, but when we're thinking about summits, if you're bringing in, say 50,000 over 2 years, and that's just one element of what you do, this is a very potentially lucrative opportunity to actually bring people together on these summits. And as you say, you make what could be thought of as quite complex into something which actually, with a few bits of learning, could actually be something that's actually relatively simple, and demystifying, I think, perhaps what people are thinking, oh, I could never do that, how could I get all of those speakers together, etc. Well, you know what? You can. With Jen and Steve, I think they're going to make it possible. So how can people get hold of you?
Well, the easiest way to get hold of us is really just go to our website, to eventraptor.com, and you'll find a contact page there. And also you can book a call with me at eventraptor.com/strategy. It's simple as that. And we can have a conversation on how we can assist you with what we're doing.
Or LinkedIn. We're both on LinkedIn. One of us uses it more than the other, but we're on LinkedIn and we're around and about, so we're pretty easy to find.
Oh, it's so thank you so much. I mean, I've learned an awful lot from having you on the podcast. It's been very instructional, but also to spend time, as I say, with such value-driven and heart-centered people, that you are just out there to help your community to thrive. And I know that having had various conversations with Jen, you're just delightful, Jen, to be honest. Even if you're not quite sure, think, how's this going to turn out? I know that Jen, and I know you, Steve, but I've not spoken to you as much. So I know Jen is so warm and friendly, but a very good business lady and can actually offer, as I say, I keep on using this word value, but it's absolutely true in this case. So thank you both so much for being on the podcast.
Been delightful. Thank you for having us.
Thank you indeed, Deborah.
It's a pleasure. And for everybody watching and listening, thank you so much for joining us. It's always such a pleasure to have you. And thank you for coming along. It's wouldn't be here without you. Truly appreciate all of your kindness and support. And please do like and comment and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you wouldn't mind sharing this episode to somebody that you think that this could really benefit, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who this is exactly the kind of thing that can really make a huge difference to their business, also from personal development, getting involved with a wonderful community that can really give support and guidance and friendship along the way. So thanks so much and see you all again very, very soon.